Okay, so our question today is, what is ego resistance and what is the best way to deal with it? Okay, so I think the most positive thing about ego resistance is that it can easily be seen as a resistance to you actually following the Spirit's plan for awakening. So you could almost take it as like a marker of success. You could say that you must have started to change the way you live, the way you think, and the way you approach forgiveness opportunities in every day and yourself as a perceived person in a world differently if you're starting to experience resistance. What that resistance is to is the idea and the belief in sacrifice. First of all, the idea is that form brings happiness. If I do this, then I'm happy. If I do this, then I feel safe. If I put this in the bank, I will have money in the future. If I have this boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, husband, wife, then I will have security. I will have love. These things need to be questioned. These beliefs are saying that without that, I won't feel safe, loved, secure, or happy. So ego resistance is just to you questioning those thoughts and beliefs. Sometimes it's so intense though that it feels almost life-threatening, as if the very thing that you're simply being asked to question is being taken away. And that's why the belief in sacrifice and punishment is so deep that what we really need to do is to come into a state of trust, where we remember that all we're being asked to do is simply look at the belief and question it. I have never seen it that the Spirit has ripped anything away from someone. It's always just an invitation to question that you couldn't be happier by following guidance. In this case, that you couldn't be happier if you simply follow the guidance for the day, and it may come in forms you've never expected to make you happy. Nothing in truth makes you happy except your decision to be happy, to return to a state of awareness whereby nothing of form is actually influencing you. In fact, the entire world, the entire universe is coming from how you feel. That's why it's so important to make the decision first of how you would like to feel. Now I hear you cry, but today I've tried really hard and I feel desperate. And I say, of course, that's okay. There's no problem. All I would invite you to restore yourself to is an experience of non-resistance. First and foremost, to that you do have total control over how you feel. So even if you don't like how you feel, you can at least decide that you've decided to feel that way. Sometimes, if you're having a miserable, unhappy day, it's just easier to decide that you must want to feel miserable, unhappy, and almost have a good laugh at the fact that you want to sulk and be in your bed and under the covers. Something lifts immediately when we don't try and fix it or improve or be more upbeat. Acceptance is very important in letting go of resistance, because you can't be working against yourself. Everything has to feel voluntary. So the number one way to get back to an experience of voluntary happiness, instead of, forced happiness, is to remember that it's your natural state and that something must have been added to your day. That's generally a belief about the conditions necessary for you to feel a certain way. Oh, I'll only feel good if I get that phone call to know I got the job. I'll only be happy if he says he loves me. I'll only be, relaxed and at peace if the money lands in the bank on time. So here it is. This is a very big invitation to trust. And so ego resistance is basically a decision to not trust. You're not bad when you experience ego resistance, but you are definitely unhappy. And so the invitation is to go to the Spirit and say, well, I can at least decide I don't like how I feel. So I must be mistaken somewhere. And in that openness that Rules for Decision chapter 30 gives us from A Course in Miracles, we can come to the Spirit with wholly empty arms, not expecting to have anything ripped away, because we're simply asking for the one thing we are willing to look at, and that's the decision that we've spent enough time feeling distressed and unhappy, and we'd really like help in experiencing something else. So with that openness and taking all the focus off the how, what form you want to feel better about, and simply saying, I just would like to feel better, then we're open again to the miracle. where we can at least decide we do not like how we feel, that we must have been mistaken, we must have chosen wrongly, as in chosen the ego, hence the resistance, and not the spirit. And we can choose again. Because you see, the ego, it's just simply a tiny mad idea, has no power over you. It's very helpful to see that the egoic thoughts, the egoic thought system that you can be experiencing as your state of mind and who you are, this personal sense of an identity, can be very cloying to the point that you do think it's you. But it's a mistaken identity. It's not who you are. These thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and desires are not yours. And if you ever wanted to experience a movie that would really give you a sense of how programmed your life is and what you think is, then there's two I have for you. One is called Dark City and the other is called The Island. Either of those two movies will really bring you into a sense of how everything is controlled and programmed, and how what you thought were your memories and what you thought were your beliefs are really just iterations of guilt, reassembling and reassembling every day to put you in a controlled lockdown prison. And so we have a choice. Freedom is in the mind, because freedom of the body you cannot have if you want freedom in the mind. You cannot have both. And so you must decide. And one teacher teaches for freedom of mind and one teacher teaches for freedom of the body. So one would have you fighting externals the entire time, the other would have you transcending the idea that you're limited at all. So I would invite you to go and look in the description. If you go up above, there's a little down V arrow next to the title. And in there, I'll have links to ways you can watch those movies that are just going to brighten your day. Or if you're feeling really dark and low and like disgruntled, will also make you feel great because it will honor that dark, low, and disgruntled. Either way, don't fight yourself. If you're finding the day hard, the rules for decision again, it says do not fight yourself, you're not ready. And there's nothing being held against you. The invitation is there again and again from the spirit. So it's like recalculating, and take the next turn left when it's invited and offered again, if you can. And if not, there'll always, just like a GPS system, be another invitation to get back on course and come back home to the experience of being joined and taken care of, careless and carefree and cared for.